This one gets requested a lot. Can you learn pro wrestling at home? Here's the thing. That one question is actually 3 or 4 questions, and we're going to break them all down next. I'm Mike Quackenbush, and this is Till We Make It. Throughout my career, I have been very fortunate because I've worked in front of the cameras as a pro wrestler, referee, ring announcer, and commentator. And I've also worked behind the scenes in wrestling as a promoter, booker, agent, coach, and consultant, and some other jobs too. And I bring the sum total of all the experiences that I have had, now covering 4 different decades, and I serve it up right here to you on Till We Make It. If you're down with that, then what are you waiting for? Go ahead and join the Till We Make It tribe. Subscribe to my channel right now. In today's video, I want to tackle the oft-suggested topic of, can you learn pro wrestling at home? And this one is really several questions masquerading as one single question. And to really answer this thoroughly, we're going to have to address each and every one of them. So we're going to have to get really specific. But at the very top, what I want you to know is, yes, there are some things about pro wrestling that you can learn at home, or at least you can learn without enrolling in a pro wrestling training school. However, you cannot learn everything required to become a working pro who performs in a ring without ever setting foot in a wrestling training facility. Having gotten that out of the way, now let's dive deep. So that we can parse, can you learn pro wrestling at home, we're going to have to define some terms first. So I believe everything that makes up a pro wrestling match can be divided up into one of 3 categories. And those categories are mechanics, performance, and structure. And learning each of those is very different. So let's define those terms a little bit. What is structure? Structure is the underlying architecture, or what you sometimes hear referred to as ring psychology. It is the narrative skeleton underneath the wrestling match that allows for it to deliver a satisfying climax to the audience while telling a logical story. And understanding structure is different from performance. That's the second of those 3 elements, performance. So what is performance? So under the category of performance, I'm referring not only to the performative tools that we all have, that is our voice, our facial expressions, and our body language. I'm also referring to things like props. A prop in the world of professional wrestling is a championship title belt. A prop is the urn that Paul Bearer used to carry to the ring for The Undertaker. It also refers to costuming, things like the gear you're going to wear in the ring or the presentation gear you wear during your entrance. Maybe it's the look and the color of your mask. And it also refers to production elements. That all goes underneath the category of performance. And what are production elements? They're things like music, lighting, what goes up on the Tron as you're walking out, etc. Those are production elements. And those all go under the category of performance. And then there are mechanics. What are mechanics? I'm referring to the in-ring movements, the actual physical mechanics of wrestling, the moves, the counters, the reversals, the escapes, the techniques that are behind all of those, and stringing them together to form spots. Those are mechanics, and these are 3 very different categories that cannot all be answered with the same thing. So we need to talk about structure, performance, and mechanics. If you're learning something from today's video, won't you take 1 second right now and leave me a like-a-palooza down below? Thanks for doing that. If it's your goal to one day perform in a ring in front of paying customers, then I think you want to start this journey not with mechanics, performance, and structure, but rather by becoming a true student of the game. And here's what that really means. Learn about the 4 eras of professional wrestling and the history of our art form. Understand the language and the culture around professional wrestling, and learn to ignore things like gossip and rumor mongering, because those things are worthless. the real culture and real language around professional wrestling. Familiarize yourself with wrestling from other countries and other styles, and get to know who the most influential players are, both in the ring and out of the ring. Become a true student of the game before you start doing the rest of this work. And just saying this out loud has made me realize I'm going to collect all the videos I have on this channel that touch on any of those topics, and I'm going to put it together in a playlist before this publishes and link you to it at the end of this video. So stay tuned for that. More work for Mike. Okay, so we've broken apart the question, can you learn pro wrestling at home, into 3 questions. Up first, can you learn structure while you are at home? Well, I think the answer to that is yes, you can. You can take an online class on that exact topic. I teach them all the time. You can read books about storytelling structure, because the underlying structure of almost all wrestling matches made in the Western world is 3-act structure. And there are tons of great books out there on this exact topic. I know I touch on it in at least chapters 4 and 6 of 7 Keys to Becoming a Better Performer. And I don't mean for this to sound so self-serving, so let me also thoroughly recommend to you Sid Field's 1979 book, Screenplay. It's an expert breakdown of 3-act structure. And you need to both understand that structure and be fluent in its function. Understand why the pieces go where they go and do what they do. The second question this yields is, can you learn about the performance of pro wrestling while you are at home? And I think the answer to that is also yes. Something that goes in the performance category is cutting promos. And that's a huge part of professional wrestling. And you can learn all about public speaking and rhetoric while you are at home. You can read about it. You can take online classes about it. Or if you're willing to venture just a little bit out of your home. If the question, can I learn pro wrestling at home, really means, can I learn pro wrestling without going to wrestling school? Take on this 3-step process before you enroll for training, and you will be light years ahead of everyone else in your training class. You're going to find a theater company near you that offers improv classes, and you're going to take them. And at the end of your improv class, I want you to ask your instructor to recommend to you an acting class you can take. That's step 2. Then you're going to enroll in that class, and you're going to take that too. And at the end of your acting class, you're going to ask that instructor to recommend to you a movement class. And then you're going to enroll and take that class as well. You do those 3 steps before you actually enroll for day 1 of training at a pro wrestling training center, and you just put rocket fuel in your ship. You have optimized your chances for success as a pro wrestling trainee before you ever set foot in a ring. And third, can I learn the physical mechanics of pro wrestling while I am at home? And I think the short answer to this is no. No, you cannot. I am of the opinion that the mechanics of pro wrestling need to be learned in a ring under the instruction of a qualified coach. That's exactly why I never teach those things here on the channel. And if one day I start, you will know that I'm really struggling to pay the bills. But there's also a 4th question implied by, can I learn pro wrestling at home? And that question should be, can I begin to prepare my body for wrestling while I'm at home? And the answer to that is yes. You can adjust your diet and start working out while remaining at home. There's lots of ways that you can do this. Just a week ago, I put a video up on my channel called Alexander Dean Home Workout. You can start doing that routine 3 times a week. And after doing that consistently for 1 month, bump up your frequency to 4 days a week. And after another month of that, bump it up to 5 days a week. The plain truth of the matter is, these things that you can be doing from home, they're just the tip of the iceberg. They're the 10% of it that we can see right now. But the biggest part of the iceberg is still waiting to be discovered, right? It's just beneath the surface of the water. And for the purpose of this analogy, that is you taking the plunge and enrolling at a pro wrestling training center. Yes, learning all these things in advance, modifying your diet and starting to work out at home are going to give you an amazing advantage. And yet, it is only the tip of the pro wrestling iceberg. To achieve your goal of one day performing in a ring in front of the paying customers, you're going to have to enroll for training at a pro wrestling training center. But if you do all of this advanced work that we just outlined for 4 or 5 months before enrolling, you will have done everything possible to optimize your chances of success as a pro wrestling trainee. Appearing on screen right now is that playlist I promised you I would make, and I did it. I made it for you. So click on that right now and start to explore my Student of the Game playlist. Or follow this link to my Patreon page. Help me reach my goal this year of 100 patrons. I want to keep this a weekly YouTube channel. And if you do too, I need your support.